Well, India's retaliation to punish the Pakistani post pushing in infiltrators across the line of control south of Pir Panjal. The question, of course, is will these strikes deter Pakistan? Or does India need to up the ante? And was it necessary to release the video? Or was that part of perception management directed at domestic opinion? Take a look at what happened today in yet another move by the Modi government to take on Islamabad.
The final moments for a Pakistan army bunker. Camouflaged across the line of control, this bunker didn't know what hit it. As a hail of Indian shells came smashing down, fully destroying the fortification in a cloud of dust and smoke. Pakistan officially humiliated before the world. These strikes on May 9th and 10th by Indian Army units on the line of control in Nowshera sector just south of Poonch, employing its brave new practice of revealing retaliatory strikes. The army today formally announced the act of blistering revenge.
A recent action by our troops in Nowshera sector has caused some damage to Pak army posts which are supporting infiltrations. This is part of our overall strategy to counter terrorism.
The operation took place in daytime in the Nowshera sector of Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri district. The army employed bunker-busting mortar directed at Pakistani army posts aiding terrorist infiltrators. The video clearly shows that the Indian army used its trusty 80mm mortars to rain hell on the Pakistan bunkers, destroying them completely. The number of casualties is not known yet. The question is, why did the army decide to reveal the May 9th strike?
The army says it is confident it has infantry and artillery superiority all along the 770-kilometer long line of control. And should the need arise, the army is willing to open up to send a strong message to Pakistan that sending terrorists into India is no longer a low-cost or a cost-effective option for the Pakistan army.
Defence Minister Arun Jaitley and Army Chief General Bipin Rawat visited the line of control 4 days ago and were briefed about the retaliatory strike. But it was the very tense anti-terror encounter over the weekend in North Kashmir's Naugam district on the line of control that forced the government to reveal its actions. The weekend operation saw 4 terrorists killed, but 3 brave soldiers martyred. Late last night, the Modi government finally cleared the army to reveal the May 9th operation as a strong message to Pakistan. The surprise announcement from the army has sent out a shattering twin message to Pakistan. One, that India will not back down from extracting revenge on the border. And 2, India won't spare Pakistan the public humiliation. Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining me now is the former Army Chief General Bikram Singh. Appreciate your joining us, General Singh. The Defence Minister Arun Jaitley has described today's action as preemptive and measured actions to counter terrorism in the valley and disengage Pakistan posts which are supporting infiltration. Do you believe this was the appropriate and measured response that India has taken?
Yes, Rajdeep. Firstly, let me thank you for getting me over on your show. It is indeed measured because if you see, initially when the Chief of the Army Staff made the statement, that was endorsed by the Raksha Mantri after 1 or 2 days, wherein he said that, the sacrifice by our soldiers will not go in vain. In other words, he had opened up, or I would say enhanced the scope of the retaliation, retribution by our soldiers, by our army. And I think what has happened is that instead of perhaps going a couple of notches higher vis-a-vis what was done last time, this time the targets chosen are those which would have, I would say, a salutary effect with regard to the infiltration which will impede further infiltration attempts by the terrorists. And of course, the launch pads have been decimated. So from that point of view, it is a measured approach, and it does convey, it has tremendous large 3 or 4 strategic fallouts, which I think makes it very unique. One, of course, is that it has a political backing. For the second time, the operations that have been undertaken on the line of control have had political backing, thus conveying a message to the political leadership of Pakistan and also to the military leadership of Pakistan. In addition, the other stakeholders and other players of the environment, for example, the terrorists, and you have the detractors in Jammu and Kashmir, and you cannot de-link what's happening on the line of control to what is happening in the valley. So the message has gone out loud and clear, and I think this has got to be also read in concert with what has happened to Gogoi. Major Gogoi's action, which has been endorsed again by the national political leadership. And of course, the army, the chief, has given him a commendation card. So this goes to show that there is a shift, paradigm shift, as far as the strategy of our nation is concerned vis-a-vis Pakistan and in dealing with Jammu and Kashmir situation.
But will it act as a deterrent? We saw even after the September surgical strikes, far from it acting as a deterrent, there have been more terror attacks, more infiltration attempts. We've lost many more Jawans also in the last few months in comparison to a year ago. So I just want to understand, do you believe that this will act as a deterrent to Pakistan?
Not to that extent as we are seeing. You see, let's understand, it is an operation at the tactical level. Now, if you have to deter Pakistan from, putting an end to export of terrorism to our country, then we got to target, we got to put and coerce the Pakistani army under pressure. We got to virtually put them under pressure, and that requires a multi-pronged strategy. And therefore, not just the military action which is there on the line of control. We got to employ other elements of national power. We got to make the Pakistani army bleed. I've talked about this number of times in Balochistan, in POK, in other areas, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. You know the problems which are there. There are a large number of fault lines in Pakistan which have got to be exploited, and I'm sure it's being done. But I suppose as part of the public information and perception management campaign, which actually today for the first time has come out loud and clear, where you find that the political leadership of the country has actually endorsed this particular campaign. And mind you, Rajdeep, when you carry out such operations, whether in the conventional warfighting domain or in the sub-conventional warfighting domain, there is a very, very important line of operation which has to be in concert with the use of force, and that is public information and perception management. Because after all, it is a game of minds. And you got to strike the enemy's mind, adversary's mind, the mind of the terrorists and other stakeholders, other detractors. So what has happened today is that the government has today virtually endorsed for the first time a very comprehensive, a very cogent, a very, I would say, well thought out, robust public information and perception management campaign, which actually endeavors towards psychological operations. This is a very, very important line which has to be played in concert with use of force.
But General Singh, the fact is that there will be those, that similar operations presumably have taken place when you were in office, when the UPA was in office. The difference though is that the NDA government is putting out these videos in the public domain. We saw even during the surgical strikes, the government went out of its way to say, yes, we crossed the LoC. On this occasion, they put out this video. Do you see this as part of a conscious perception management, more for domestic consumption, or is it sending out a message to the enemy?
Rajdeep, in addition to the domestic consumption, which is very important, let me tell you from the army's point of view, what actually bothered me even when I was, Corps Commander 15 Corps in Srinagar, was that, despite our soldiers, rendering yeoman service to the nation, it was not being portrayed to the nation in the right perspective. What has happened today is that I think the government has taken on this role to support the army in portraying the operations of the soldiers in the right perspective, and I think this is very much required. The other thing, please remember that when I talked of strategic fallouts of this particular video, it has impacted the minds of the leadership, political leadership in Pakistan. It's impacted definitely the 10 Corps commander, the chief of the Pakistani army, and other, the launch pad battalion commanders and company commanders who've been assisting the terrorists. It has also impacted on the terrorists. Plus, please remember one thing, that those people, detractors who were virtually acting as centrifugal forces, who were impeding the initiatives, various other national and state government initiatives in the state, in J&K, today would have realized that they cannot carry on with what they've been doing in the past. I mean, I remember there used to be a large number of fabricated human rights violations. I mean, with all my respect to the apex court, you know very well there are 1,520 odd, these kind of human rights violations, alleged human rights violations in Manipur alone. Now, that's the kind of, you'll find pressures coming onto the army. This kind of campaign is going to actually take away the pressures from a soldier. And mind you, morale, I mentioned this morning as well, is a mental armor against the hard knocks of environment as far as a soldier is concerned. It is actually a force multiplier for the Indian army. You cannot allow, the nation cannot allow the morale of the soldier to go down.
The nation cannot allow the morale of the soldier to go down. You believe this operation will raise morale and will send a strong message across the border to Islamabad. General Singh, as always, a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for joining me here at the top of the news.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajdeep.
Let me raise then the big questions tonight. Has the Indian Army shown its mettle once again, as General Singh was saying there? Will the Cross-LoC bombings deter Pakistan from exporting terror? Is the Modi government's muscular military strategy working or not? Are the videos of the army ops that have been released designed to manage domestic perception? How much further can the Indian Army go in settling scores with Pakistan? Time. Joining me on my face-off this evening, Rajdeep Singh Surjewala, Chief Spokesperson of the Congress, Gaurav Bhatia, now of the BJP. Appreciate both of you joining us. Mr. Surjewala, the Congress's reaction to these strikes is a bit strange, because you have praised the valor and courage of the Indian Army, but at the same time you have attacked the government by asking it to wake up from its slumber and come to the assistance of our brave soldiers. How are you separating the government from the army in the context of this action? Surely the government is in a sense the same as the army in a case like this.
Well, Rajdeep, let me begin by saying that we salute the valor and sacrifice of Indian Army. What they have done in neutralizing a army post of Pakistan which was pushing terrorists into India is commendable. But let's not forget, in last 2 days, on 20th and 21st, we've lost 3 army jawans when 4 terrorists were killed by them in a heroic act who were being pushed by Pakistan. Every day there is a ceasefire violation. There has been 1,343 ceasefire violation, 205 jawans have died. They have sacrificed themselves. Question is it the role and responsibility of Indian Army to fix relationship with Pakistan, or to fix relationship with Pakistan in a manner where Pakistan is deterred from pushing terrorists every day?
Is today the day not to give unqualified support to the army action? Is today the day not to give unqualified support to the army action? This is an army action.
Our unqualified support remains with the Indian Army. We unqualifiedly supported the army even at the time of the so-called surgical strike and said no question can be raised on it. And I was on your show myself, if you recollect.
Yes.
The important issue is when it comes to mending our relationship or fixing our relationship with Pakistan in a manner that the export of terror stops, that is not the role of the army. That is role of political executive. And what is the policy of this government? Sometimes from sari shawl diplomacy to going and having feast at Nawaz Sharif's house to inviting ISI to investigate terror. The problem is that only hyperbole, rhetoric and platitudes is the only policy that this government has with Pakistan. How are you going to deter Pakistan from ensuring that they don't export terror into India? How are you going to push them into abrogating terror camps into Pakistan-occupied Kashmir? We want to hear from the government.
Gaurav
Don't
Bhatia,
hide behind only the sacrifice of the army.
Gaurav Bhatia, respond. There's hyperbole, there is rhetoric, there are videos being shown, but at the end of the day, how is this going to deter Pakistan at all? Will a mere video of a post being smashed be enough to deter Pakistan, or is that meant for domestic audience in this country to show that this government has the muscle?
I have a few points to make. First of all, actually indulging in cheap politics over issues of national security is deplorable, and Congress is just doing that. because they are saying their unqualified support to the Indian Army. I think on national security issues, and when we are actually fighting and giving a strong and befitting reply to Pakistan, all political parties should come together. Mr. Surjewala not even once said that there is unqualified support to the government also, which I think is just not acceptable. Second, I would say that we all know what the action taken by the UPA to government was. There was mere lip service. And in the BJP government led by Mr. Narendra Modi, we should not forget the strong action taken by the BJP government in terms of surgical strikes that shook Pakistan. And
but it is not deterring Pakistan. Mr. Bhatia, the question I asked, whether videos of these posts being smashed are meant for domestic consumption or are they meant to deter Pakistan? Are we in a position to ensure that the constant flow of terrorists which is resulting in the loss of Jawans on the border, do you believe that what has happened today will deter Pakistan? Do you believe a strong message has been sent out? Or is the message more for domestic consumption?
Rajdeep, I would say that sometimes, yes, I'm answering your question. Sometimes when you retaliate strongly, as India has been doing in the recent past, in the short term, it might just aggravate the ceasefire violations. But the message is strong and clear by India that we have the might and the capability to teach Pakistan a very strong lesson that they would not forget. And the diplomacy part is also an integral part of engaging with Pakistan, but there is a time to everything. And while they are beheading our brave soldiers, we cannot actually talk about diplomacy and talks. And that is why this government has very strongly retaliated by firing, by destroying the posts, and also by surgical strikes. All that we expect from the political parties is some support, and please don't do politics over issues that concern national security.
Okay, let's leave it there. Let's not now once again wage a political battle over the shoulders of the Indian Army. Thank you both, Mr. Surjewala and Mr. Bhatia, on my face-off this evening. My take, where do I stand? By decimating the Pakistani army posts in Nowshera, the Indian army has shown it means business and has sent a strong message to Pakistan. With Pakistan continuing to send terrorists across the border, India is left with no choice but to retaliate in the strongest terms. While the action may not deter Pakistan, but it will at least send a firm message. The only question, does the Modi government need to release videos of such army operations, or is the video designed to assuage domestic opinion?